This is Kurt Heiden with the Interactive Audio Special Interest Group, and I'm here at GDC 2025. We're going to go inside and have a look around at some of the highlights and some other things around the city that you may have missed because we've got a special tour. Let's check it out. I'm here at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music with IASIG Chair Steve Horowitz, and we're going to get a very special tour of the inside, so let's go.
I'm also the executive director of the program here.
That's even better.
So this is Studio G. So Studio G we have an 8.1 surround system in here, and it's going to be Atmos enabled this summer. Full lighting rig, which this lighting rig is insane. It comes fully down. We have a screen that comes out in the back. There's live performances in here. There's recordings in here, of course. So this is Studio H, which is the control room. So we've got the Pro Tools set up. So we run Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton, and many students run Reaper. So all of the software is on the Dante network. So you can be working in here, or you can work in Studio G, and then you can save your project, and then you can take it to one of the pods. All of the halls also have recording setups, so everything can be recorded here. Sometimes our TAC students also work on campus doing recordings. There's lots of on-campus jobs as well. Used to be our flagship studio. This is still used all the time. That's a Neve desk in there that you guys probably recognize. Yeah, we've got a surround set up in here as well. Oh, come on, Christoph! That's awesome. So this is the theremin. You can tell them about the theremin.
Yeah, you have here the volume.
It's like
There's the pitch. So it could be like it's
This instrument was built in 1912. We do private lessons in here, as well as there's a buchla over in the corner, and everything's wired up through the range here. So we've got surrounded here. This is going to be an Atmos room over the summer. We also have a relationship with Dolby, we're putting in some of the Atmos rooms, and the Dolby producers come and work with our students as well. Yeah.
What are the areas that they would work in, like sound design or?
What an incredible tour that was, huh? Now on to the convention. Kurt Heiden here with FMOD at GDC 2025. I'm here with Aaron Edwards. He's going to run us through the latest on what's going on with FMOD Studio. Tell us about it, Aaron.
Hey, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and it's a pleasure to see you. And so, FMOD 2.03, we've got our latest new version out where we've got the Unity verified full out of early access release of FMOD 2.03. Got some really cool stuff. So, first off, one of the big changes is we've removed seek speed from parameters and they're now usable as modulators on any modulatable property. So that means anytime a parameter changes from one value to another, instead of it hard snapping, you can tell, hey, I want you to smoothen that out just a little bit, which means you can do now really powerful mixed state techniques like what we've got here. So in this case, we've got things like when we're in the menu, we've got bass synths, bass, orchestra, percussion, all that stuff set to a specific mix. We've got a bunch of other things like other cool stuff we'll get to. And then you can see when we go to combat here, we're switching to full mix, right? Now normally that's going to hard snap, which means the volume is just going to pop in, and it sounds really kind of awkward. Whereas now with seek speed as a modulator, we can say, okay, when this fader moves, smoothen that movement out by a certain value. And we can adjust that based on ascending and descending. So if it's going from a lower value to a higher value, and if it's going from a higher value to a lower value, we can have separate speeds for those. It's really powerful. What that means is we can go from a track like this to the menu to a really powerful mixed state combination, right? fun to play with. So that opens up so many new possibilities for mixed states, for transitioning, for just going, A, B sections, discretes, or integer values. And it makes it really easy to kind of just blend these states together. Another really big change was the addition to FFT processing in F1 Studio. So now we have things like the spectral sidechain, as well as multiband dynamics. So the multiband dynamics we can kind of see a little bit here. And the multiband dynamics plugin gives us upwards and downwards expansion, as well as upwards and downwards compression across 3 separate bands. We're all completely controllable at runtime. So now we can kind of do things like, downwards expansion to kind of do a little bit of noise removal, upwards compression or downwards compression for mixing and mastering. And the cool thing is, this is all really customizable in terms of how much you want it to be performant, using the next feature that we've released, which is the ability to have wet and dry mix on every DSP in Studio. So now you can enable wet-dry blend, and you can blend in all of these kind of features. The secondary benefit to that is the ability to have the automatic bypassing. So if at any point a DSP effect has is silent, so there's no signal being processed, or if the wet-dry mix is set to all dry, that DSP effect is going to get automatically bypassed, which means it will stop consuming CPU. It won't necessarily be unloaded from memory, so if it's something like a convolution reverb, it will still be active, because if we were dynamically unloading convolutions, there's going to be problems with sync. But it will stop consuming CPU. So for things like FFT processing, you can just go, okay, I don't need you anymore, set it to all dry, and it's going to bypass, stop consuming CPU, and you're all good. So really powerful way. Another thing that we've added while we were there, because it made sense, is we've got the ability to enable input gain for every DSP as well. So you can now add gain staging at a DSP level per effect. Super powerful. With the wet dry, we also added the ability to have independent levels. So you can have wet levels and dry levels independently, or the classic wet dry blend as you'd prefer. We also spent a long time customizing the UI for this multiband dynamics. So we can basically edit everything from this central point here, so that you can grab the bottom line here to adjust the threshold. You can grab the middle of the panel to adjust the ratio, the sides to grab the cross high and cross low, and also in the corner to be able to basically dynamically blend everything together. So you can adjust everything from within here. So we spent a long time, I actually spent a long time designing the UI for this one. I think it turned out really, really nice.
Wow.
Then one of the last things, there's actually a lot of changes. It's probably too much to get through in a very quick spiel. One of the other massive things is we've got spectral sidechaining. What spectral sidechaining will let us do is, if we just quickly open a profiler session here, just to get some information. Now that we've fed some information into the mixer, you can see here in the spectral sidechain, we can dictate the range that we're analyzing, and we get 2 things now from the spectral sidechain. We get the RMS of the frequency, and also the spectral centroid. And the spectral centroid is just a fancy way to say, what's the dominant frequency at any given point? We get that as a value that we can now modulate, right? So in this case, we're going over to the music. If we have a look at this EQ, what we're doing is we're setting the frequency to be whatever the spectral centroid value is, right? And then we're reducing the gain and the Q based on the RMS. So in other words, we've got the EQ, we're sliding the frequency to whatever the dominant frequency is coming in, and then lowering the gain and the Q value based on how loud it is. So on the music, we're going, all right, whatever the dominant frequency of the enemy sound effects are, that's more important than you. Here's a peaking EQ, we're carving out the frequencies of that music and then giving space for the enemies to come through. The cool thing is, it's completely dynamic. It's reading the entire signal band, right? So it could be massive explosions, shotguns, it could be super high lasers, it doesn't matter. It's gonna read whatever's coming in, dynamically EQ and get it out of the way, and then just set and forget. It's such a powerful feature that's really, really, really exciting.
Now, was this something that you came up with on your own, or was this something that was developed from feedback by customers?
It was a bit of a hybrid of the two. So we've had people wanting certain elements of this over the years, but part of my role is the product manager is to understand how all of these different kind of requests are being made, and look at what would be a holistic solution that both addresses those problems, but also can fix multiple problems at once, but also fit within the FMOD style, right? So that's a lot of sort of my role, is to kind of go, okay, people want the ability to dynamically duck EQs. That's cool, but what else could we do while we're there, right? Because it's just a frequency value. It doesn't have to be an EQ. I was even playing around with setting the multiband dynamics high and low cross ranges by using lower percent amounts on the sidechain and lower thresholds on the sidechain things to basically overshoot and undershoot to set the multiband. It was crazy stuff, but it's fun. So yeah, the whole ethos behind FMOD is going, how can we provide building blocks for the users to do what they want to do, right? And I think this is a really good example of that, going, well, yes, you can now dynamically read a signal and get the dominant frequency, because that's a frequency value. And if everybody knows anything about like scaling values and how those get mapped, staying within the frequency domain makes it really, really powerful for a lot of things. So there's some cool stuff. We've also done other changes. We've got things like the delay interpolation mode, which is kind of a bit in the weeds, but before our delay, if you change the time on the delay, it wouldn't create pitch artifacts, which when I found out, I was like, that's cool. Every delay we have, when you change the time, it does the pitch warp, right? But ours doesn't do that. I'm like, that's cool. But people were complaining that they wanted it back. So we've added a switch. You can now do the interpolation mode, the lerp mode, or fade. Or you can turn it off completely and get some weird results, but you to you. And then look, there's a bunch of other things as well. We've updated the profiler. You can now more easily see referenced events in the profiler, which we can see here in this chunky little gameplay session of our demo here at GDC. You can see all the reference events have the dotted lines and the lifespans view compared to the standard one. We've got some other updates coming soon to the profiler, where you're going to be able to see things like CPU per audio track as well as CPU per DSP. There's a bunch of stuff still on the way. And then even other small tweaks, like the things to be able to see start offset as a visualizing line on the sample now, instead of it just being an arbitrary percent. So we spent a long time trying to make FMOD feel as intuitive as it does when you first pick it up, right? Everybody knows when you first open FMOD, it feels intuitive, you know what you're doing. And then you get into the weeds, and it's still intuitive, but for me, there's some couple of things we can just kind of tweak, and that's what we've really tried to do with 2.03.
Wow, well, you've included a lot of detail. Over the years, I've seen this product evolve, and it's really impressive what you've done. And thank you very much, by the way, for continuing to sponsor the Interactive Audio Special Interest Group. We're very grateful to have you on board as our industry changer sponsor this year. Thank you, and have a great show.
Thank you, sir. Likewise.
That's it from FMOD at GDC 2025. I'm here with Audio Kinetics' Damien Kastbauer. Damien, tell us what's going on with Audio Kinetic at GDC 2025.
Kurt, what a year. After 20 years on the expo floor at GDC, Audio Kinetic has chosen a different path through the conference this year. We rented out a theater at the Metreon. We had 2 days of presentations from developers that were free to access for anyone. And wow, high-level presentations on the big screen, on the big system, from folks like Marvel Rivals, Split Fiction, and Eternal Strands. It Still Wakes the Deep. Some amazing stuff for folks here in the community to soak in. We also presented 2 private screenings of our new documentary, Sounds of Dreamers.
What is Sounds of Dreamers about?
Sounds of Dreamers is it's a gift to the community. Interviews with folks talking about the history of game audio, technologies, creativity. They go deep into shining a light on topics that are important for the community, like diversity and the responsibility that we have as creators to think about how we create and where that will arrive as part of an experience. So It's been a great conference. We had a lot of folks show up, and
That's a very different approach.
yeah.
So I would imagine, as you're showing this movie, that some of the people in the movie were actually in the audience watching it.
It was fantastic to have folks who are on the screen here at part of that, at those presentations. Yes, absolutely. Seeing so many of my friends on the screen, so many people who I've known for years, and people that I haven't met yet, talking about sound and how they hear it. Some of my favorite examples in the documentary are just these moments of stillness where sound takes over and the words of the people being interviewed are on the screen, giving meditative moments across this documentary that really is a celebration of the community and interactive audio overall. Meanwhile, we were able to put a spotlight on our Wise Acoustics technology. We gave a case study of it over the past years, as well as shining a light on where we're headed in the future.
You had some developers in there as well who had developed games with that. I think I saw one of those sessions.
Exactly, and that's what's kind of fun is that technology right now is finding its way into the hands of folks who are using it creatively to help tell their stories. And so
To see that on a big screen in a cinema was really cool.
oh yeah, and the sound was explosive. Like the high and low frequencies here were well represented. It was fantastic.
Wow. Well, thanks for your time, and thanks for sponsoring the IASIG. We're very grateful for it, and wish you guys all the best.
Great. Thanks, Kurt.
I'm here with Brian Schmidt. Brian, tell us a little bit about GameSoundCon.
Oh, GameSoundCon. So we're in our 16th year GameSoundCon. GameSoundCon is for composers, sound designers, VO people, programmers. It's actually the largest professional game audio event, I think, in the world.
When does it happen?
It's in fall. This year will be October 28th and 29th in Burbank, California.
And who should go to this show?
If you're a professional or aspiring composer, sound designer, again, we have a session on VO, just 2 days of session just for VO people. If you want to learn about tools like Wise or FMOD or Real, we've got sessions for that. If you are somebody who studies game music academically, we have a series of tracks for that. If you teach game audio, we have a series of tracks for game audio educators. But the core people who come are composers, sound designers, implementers, things in game audio industry.
Cool. How did you get started in all that?
Oh, it was the long version and short version.
The short version.
The short version is I've always loved to teach. Both my parents are music teachers, so one of my jobs when I was on the Xbox team was to help people learn how to make sound for the Xbox. So when I left Microsoft, I felt like it would be helpful for people who didn't really understand how games work, composers or sound designers, to learn how to do that for games. How does games working on the sound of music for games differ from film or television or something like that?
I think I attended some of your sessions.
Yeah, so we started in 2009 and kind of have grown from like a one-room kind of game audio 101 to last year we took over the entire Marriott Convention Center. Wow. We fully live streamed almost all the sessions. So we had close to 900 people in person, plus another about 250 to 70 online watching the session in real time. So it's kind of become one of the big networking and sort of industry information events. It's been fun to watch it grow.
Awesome.
Little things
Well, thank you very much for your time.
No,
and
thank
for
you so
all
much.
you do for the industry and for the IASIG, for IGDA, all of that.
Oh, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm here with Parker Wallace, Director of Operations and Events for the International Game Developers Association, or IGDA, with whom the IASIG is partnered. We are a SIG of the IGDA. So, tell us a little bit about IGDA. What is the mission? What do you do?
Totally. So our whole thing is we are a member-based nonprofit organization dedicated to helping empower game developers worldwide. So we do that through our large communities around the world, whether it's through our chapters in over, I want to say, 120 different areas, or our special interest groups, kind of like the IASIG. Our special interest groups range between disciplines, affinity groups, or advocacy groups, and we've got over 40 of those right now. And that's a really cool way to get involved globally. So really, we're just trying to connect everybody in the world with additional people like them so we can help each other grow and make the industry better.
So anyone who's involved in any part or aspect of game development,
any part,
AI, programmers,
legal, writing,
all of it.
HR, analog games, we're getting that SIG back up and going too.
Cool.
So yeah, there's some really cool stuff that is happening.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And you have events going on here at the show.
Yes, we do. So we've got some private events this evening, and then tomorrow we have a big mixer from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., which you guys have a little lounge
We have a little section.
at the Children's Creativity Museum. So that one's our big networking event every year. It's a fantastic time. Food, drink, Jackbox games. It's going to be a good time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for taking time.
Of course.
Have a great show.
You too. Have fun.
We'll see you next time. Well, that wraps up our coverage of GDC 2025. I hope you had a great time. And from the IASIG, thank you for watching.